Hi, welcome to Happier Ladies, a podcast where we discuss all things related to the Happier and Happier in Hollywood podcast.
We're sisters
And super fans
who can't get enough happier.
So we created our own podcast to keep the conversation going.
I'm Malika Amandi, a SoCal native living in Western Massachusetts, a new mom, and an entrepreneur. I'm here with my sister, Azizi Williams.
That's me. I live and work in the LA area, although today I am in East Hampton in my sister's home office. Yay! I'm a not-so-new mom, and I'm an education professional in the independent school world.
In this episode, we share our thoughts about happier and happier in Hollywood episodes we've missed.
Malika, before I left on my trip to East Hampton to come out to the Pioneer Valley with you, I was surprised by something my husband brought home. In a big box. In fact, we were all surprised, my daughters and I. And it turned out on one of his Ace capades, he has a weekly visit to Ace hardware store. This is his ritual. And on one of these visits, he felt compelled to make a purchase. And it turned out to be a porch swing.
Okay.
And there was no discussion of it. We did not talk about needing a porch swing. It never, ever came up. So it was the most random purchase that he could have made. And it was like, of all the things to buy, why a porch swing? But I have to say, he put it together. It's one that has its own base, so it doesn't actually hang from something. And it's on our patio, kind of in our yard. And the moment I got in it, it's like glorious.
What do you like about it?
It just feels really good. The gentle swaying, it reminds me of being in the hammock without any of the dangers of being in a hammock because, I had that hammock fall back in 2020. So I will never get in another hammock. But this is so lovely. And it's nice to look out in the yard and you just gently sway. And you talk to the person who's next to you if there's someone sitting in it with you. It's just really a comfortable, lovely feeling that I didn't anticipate.
Well, I'm so happy for you. That sounds like a great addition. It's in the backyard or the front yard?
It's in the backyard. It would be nice to be in the front, but we don't have enough space, I think, in it for the front. So it's in the back and the girls have used it. I see them out there with a book. I've used it with a book or I sit next to my husband in it and it's just really lovely. So get a porch swing. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I love that. I mean, I love the idea of having a porch swing where you could watch people walking by or driving by.
Yes.
Or read a book. I didn't know I wanted it, but now that you say it, it sounds like a really good idea.
And I think it actually did come from this show that we like to watch together called Hometown, where this couple remodels or revamps old homes. And I think they're in Arkansas. There's always, the first thing is the discussion of the porch, and there's often a porch swing. So I'm sure that's where it came from now that I think about it. Recommend that show if you want to get some porch swing inspiration. But yeah, didn't know it was the thing I needed this summer.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Malika, what happened on Happier?
All right. So on Happier and More Happier, episodes 491 to 492, we're going to get into it. In no particular order, Azizi, what stood out to you in these episodes?
Yes, we're just going to popcorn the thoughts and inspiration from the 4 episodes, actually, Happier and More Happier, that are 491 and 492. So the first thing top of mind is the discussion of the fire blanket. And it's something they've brought up before. And this time a listener shared a real life situation where she used the fire blanket and the fire blanket worked. And so now I feel very compelled to buy one.
Me too. I mean, I haven't bought it yet, but as soon as I heard that, I texted myself, buy a fire blanket, because it does sound like just so easy to use in a very critical moment. Whereas we have 2 fire extinguishers. I need to check their expiration dates, but I don't really know how to use it. I've never fired a fire extinguisher before.
There's an acronym. I don't remember what it was, which is like, what good is that going to be? Something about twisting and pulling. I have actually used a fire hydrant. It was a training with the fire department when I was a preschool teacher. It was a thing. It was not something that you just kind of know what to do, and
Right.
particularly in an emergency when you're panicked, and I think the listener talked about that. You need something that's simple and easy.
So let's both remember to do that.
I put it on my list, at least for 25 for 25 if I don't get it before then.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
They did a whole deep dive on style, a follow up, which was just always great to hear more ideas there. And something they were talking about made me remember a time when I was working. It was my first job out of college, and I was working for the fine arts department in this university. And one of the artists who was also on the faculty, I noticed she was always wearing the same outfit. It was like this gray jumpsuit thing. And I don't know, I thought I was kind of like clever because I was like, oh, she's got a uniform. Interesting. Like, okay, I see
Mhm.
you. Like, it looked cool, but it was also like, yeah, and she wears the same thing every time I see her. She's in the same outfit. Not like I caught you, but like, okay, I get it. You're one of those like Steve Jobs
Hmm.
types, you know?
Yeah, making a point.
Exactly, but I just was like, "Oh, fun." And then unconnected to work, I was at MoCA in Los Angeles, the Museum of Contemporary Art, and there happened to be a retrospective of this artist who was also on the faculty where I was working. Her name is Andrea Zattel. And I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. I knew she was a working artist and all of that. But so I'm walking around this retrospective, and then I walk into a room, and there are just rows and rows of mannequins, and they are showcasing her uniforms from the past 2 decades.
Wow.
So I felt like I was like, "Okay, I get it." Not only does she wear a uniform, this is a part of her, like, artistic practice that's been going on for decades, and here now on this big pedestal are all of the different uniforms that she's worn over the last 20 years,
Wow.
which just blew my mind. So, it takes style to a different level.
Can you imagine, Malika, that one day there might be a retrospective of your wardrobe at Mocha?
I don't think that would ever happen.
A happier ladies retrospective? That should be our goal. We should dress as though one day we might make it to a museum retrospective. That's pretty cool.
I'll put a link to her. It's called like her personal uniform project. Now it's 3 decades that she has,
Wow.
but when you see them all lined up next to each other, it's just so interesting. Like one will be almost the same, but she adds like a handkerchief or
Mm.
there's a tie in a different place. I mean, it's a thing.
I can't wait to look that up. That's so cool. In one of these episodes, they spoke with author Gary Vaynerchuk, and he wrote a children's book, a children's picture book that had to do with values and morals and inspiration and motivation. He was a very inspirational speaker. He was an entrepreneur. He's been giving advice to adults for a long time and is now venturing into children's books. And his suggestion was this method to use to sort of make yourself feel better. And I thought we could try it right now, Malika.
All right, take me through.
Okay. So the first thing you do is take a deep breath. So go ahead, everyone listening, take a breath. Now take in a deeper breath and then release and smile like you mean it, like a big smile. And then you say, when I'm 90, I'm not going to care about any of this. Say it.
When I'm 90, I'm not going to care about any of
All
this.
right. And that was his method. How do you feel?
I don't know. I need to practice. It's too many steps right now
Okay.
for me because I didn't quite the smile, like exhaling and then smiling.
Okay. All right.
I didn't quite get that,
It
but
wasn't as hard for me to get while he was doing it. I don't know why it's so hard for you to get, but maybe he had a technique or a way of saying it that was clear. But I liked it. It made me smile. It was a good perspective reminder. And I don't know, whenever you take a deep breath, I think you feel a little bit better.
absolutely.
Yeah, I liked it. Something else they talked about, I think in the listener Ask Anything episode, Liz had talked about a Snoopy suitcase that she had growing up. and she talked about how much nostalgia and warm feelings she had about this Snoopy suitcase, and it reminded me of our matching Snoopy blankets growing up. Do you remember them?
I do. I didn't realize that we both had them. I just remember the Snoopy blankets. I don't think I associated one as mine.
There were 2.
There were
There were
2.
2.
Makes sense.
One of them was yours. We had twin beds, and there was a whole set. It was a whole Snoopy sheet blanket set, and it was like a Snoopy race car tableau. I think Charlie Brown's on it also. I mean, I remember at the time, I don't think I loved it. It's not what I would have chosen for myself.
Right.
I probably would have chosen strawberry shortcake or something a little more, girly. That was my aesthetic when I was a kid. But now over the years, because we still have them and they're still in our lives, now I feel very fond for them. And it is our go-to beach blanket. It lives in the back of my car. Whenever we go to the beach, that's the blanket we use. So now my daughters also have that blanket in their memory.
That's sweet.
Yes,
Do you know what happened to the other one?
I do not. It might still be in mommy and daddy's garage. So
Okay.
if you'd like it when you're down here, you could go check that out.
That would be fun. Okay. So one thing they discussed was favorite television moments.
Mm.
I guess there's a question in there, which is like, do you keep track of favorite television moments? But what are certain TV moments that really stand out to you that you would like go back to rewatch just that scene?
The thing that comes to mind for me is so cliche because I am an Office fan. And so any Office fan will know the Booze Cruise episode where Jim and Pam are having this interaction, and Jim is getting so close to just sharing with Pam that he loves
Mm,
her. And I think what happened was she sort of felt it get really serious, and she suddenly was like, okay, I have to go back inside now, and he didn't
mhm.
get to say it. But oh my goodness, even though The Office is a comedy, there are so many dramatic moments, and particularly around their relationship. And this one was so, so good. So that comes to mind for me immediately. What about you? Do you have a moment?
There's one that stands out to me from Parenthood. Incredible show. I think it was canceled before its time.
Okay. When was it out? Was it
Message
like,
me if you feel the same way.
okay.
It was like 2010 to
All right.
2015.
All right.
One of the characters, her name was Christina. She is a mom, and one of her children is on the autism spectrum. And that's like a big plot point of the show, kind of discovering that he's, I think, in middle school or something. And so that's like a whole journey. But she finds a school that really supports students who have special needs, and they think it's going to turn over this new leaf. And there's another kid in the class who's like a playmate, and that kid is having a birthday party. And Christina finds out that her son wasn't invited.
Mm.
And so she's just so certain that it had to have been an oversight. The invitation got lost in the mail because everybody else is invited to this party, everybody else in the class.
Mm.
And so she decides, okay, I'm just going to talk to the mom after school because, like, clearly there was a misunderstanding. And so she confronts this other mother in the hallway, and it starts as this very, like, oh, I'm just checking in. Max didn't get an invitation. And so I just wanted to make sure. I assume it was lost in the mail. And the other mother is like so uncomfortable. And she tells her, like, you didn't lose the invitation. Like, I didn't send one.
Mm.
And then you just see this look on Christina's face, like
Wow.
the hurt and the confusion. And she's just like, wait, I don't understand. Our kids, they're friends. And why would you do this to my child? Like,
Mhm.
this whole school, the whole point is inclusivity. And we work really hard to like give our kids the best. And, how can I even explain this to my son? And the other mom is just like, it is really hard. And my daughter, like, she doesn't get what she wants most of the time. And this is the one day where I said she could have it exactly how she wants. And she doesn't want your son at the birthday party. Like, that was her one request.
Yeah,
So then it's like, oh, and the mom just is like, I do everything for my daughter too, and I know, but I have to honor this request. Like, I hope you understand. And the other mom was like, I get it. Okay.
yeah,
She couldn't argue with that because she feels the same way, but it meant that her son wasn't going to get what he wanted.
right. That's so heavy.
And in this other mother wasn't even a regular character. It was like a co-star role. It wasn't a long scene, but it
Right.
was just so full of emotion and
Mm,
like real conflict
mm,
when you have two people that you're otherwise rooting for that
mhm.
just need slightly different things. And I love the show because there's so many moments like that in real life
Yeah.
that sticks out to me.
Oof, that's a good one. Birthday parties are just
I know.
there's so many potential pitfalls in a day that's supposed to be
Yeah.
joyous and celebratory, and there can be some real challenges. So, wow.
Now I just want to watch that
Okay.
series again. Maybe I will.
Go ahead and rewatch.
All right. And one of the episodes, they did a part two of Ask Me Anything questions. So we selected a few questions to ask ourselves. So, Azizi, what item for $50 or less has been the most life changing for you and why?
Okay. So the item that I use every day is always with me is this little wallet that sticks to the back of my phone. And I don't know, maybe it was $8 or $12 on Amazon, and it allows me to keep my ID, my credit cards, all of my, most important things on my phone, and that way I just have them with me all the time. I'm not a bandolier user. I know Liz and Gretchen are. I know you are, Malika, and maybe bandolier has that capability. I'm not sure, but that's my item that, if I'm honest, I use most often and is life changing for me. And I've purchased it now maybe 3 times. When I get a new phone case or a new
Wow.
phone, I need that part of it. Some of the cases are built in with a wallet, and this time I found I bought them separately, and the sticking mechanism is really strong and I don't have to worry about it falling off, and that's mine. What about you, Malika?
All right. Can I say two items?
Okay. Go ahead, say 2.
Because the first thing that I thought of was my pop socket holder on my phone.
That's very close to mine.
Very similar vibe. Yeah. I have not the permanent ones that you stick on, but it's a little retractable one
Oh.
that you can take on and off your phone.
Oh,
But just having that pop socket makes the phone so much easier to hold. And then I got a thing for the car that it just slides into.
right.
That has been a game changer. But the other item I want to feature is my Hobonichi planner.
Mm.
I love the Hobonichi because it's a paper planner. There's nothing magical about it, but I love the size of this one. It's like the size of a checkbook, so it fits really easily in any purse that I have. And then there's something about when I open it up and I'm like planning, organizing my week where I feel just like so capable. I've got my to-do list. It's like if I'm feeling confused or overwhelmed, I can just spend a few minutes with that and I feel better about my life.
Okay.
Says a lot.
Yes. I also have those feelings towards my planner, but I'm not gonna get into it
Okay.
now. I'm gonna stick with my one. And
I
we'll
cheated.
we'll talk more about planners later. Malika, have you ever had a color analysis? This came up in the Q&A and in their style episode. Have you ever had a color analysis? If so, what did you think? If not, why not?
So I did have a color analysis.
Hmm.
I won it in a raffle and it was really interesting. I won the basic one in a raffle, so then I paid for an upgrade that had like included makeup colors and
Oh.
some other bells and whistles. And I will say it was really helpful. You basically submit a few pictures, and so there's programs that they run on your pictures and your skin tones. And I am a winter, which I would have never known necessarily. I don't carry the colors around. I should. That would make sense. But when I was doing headshots and like branding for my business, the Center for Women's Voice, things where I was needing to have my face on like social media more in an intentional way, it was really helpful to be like, okay, these colors work for me, these colors don't.
Hmm.
And I learned that like dusky, muted colors make me look washed out and even sad
Oh.
sometimes, which
I'm
is
so
like,
confused by this. Like, how don't you just see that? Like, can't you just see what looks good on you and what doesn't look good on you color-wise? Do you need someone else to tell you that?
you need somebody else to tell you.
Okay.
Some things you might have known intuitively, but
Right.
I think it's confusing because some colors I really like in the world, but they're
Right.
not colors that necessarily are doing the best for me.
Can you tell when a color is doing the best for you? What does that mean? You know what?
Okay.
Save these questions. Don't answer them. I think I need to do a color analysis because it really confounds me. I don't understand it. But it sounds like Liz did a free one. And so why not? Why not do it? I'm going to do a free one.
So the one I did is called yourcolorguru.com, and you can see like before and after
Okay.
pictures of people wearing different things,
Oh,
and you're like,
wow.
"Oh yeah, that is much better."
Okay.
I feel like it gave me confidence to know, okay, like jewel tones, very saturated colors, those are for me. There was like a signature color, mine is black. Navy blue is
What?
like a power color for me,
They said black was your signature color?
which black is fine for most people, but for me, it really makes me stand out.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know. But the thing is, okay, so I did get it as a gift for our mother.
Right.
And like, I should have known this was a possibility, but because we're related and have similar skin tones, though different, we're different complexions.
You do not have similar skin tones. They're different.
Her analysis was like almost the same as mine.
Okay. I'm gonna do it, and if it's the same as yours, I don't know what I'm gonna think, but I'm gonna do it. And it sounds like
Okay.
Gretchen and Liz's were different, like, they got different responses
Yeah,
back from there. So there are differences.
there are differences, but they're not infinite. It's not like your fingerprint,
You should try it from another company and see if it says the same thing. Is it just, like, universal, or is it their opinion,
right?
I wonder? Hmm, okay. This is fascinating.
Azizi, how did you know you were a dog person?
I've always just loved dogs. And, when we used to visit Grandma Louise in San Francisco, she always had a dog, and I loved that. And then I, as kids do, would begged my parents for a dog for a long time. And my mom was very resistant. But on my 10th birthday, I remember coming home and they surprised me for my birthday with an old English sheepdog puppy that was the cutest dog you have ever seen. And I immediately went in and like wanted to hug the dog, and we named her Christina, and she was bouncy and excited, and then like chaos ensued. It was wonderful. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been a dog person. So I kind of have always known I was a dog person. I have had a cat before. I've owned cats before. Cats are fine. Cats are good, but for me, it's about the dogs. What about you?
That's actually my very first memory is picking out the dog, Christina, for you.
You got to pick her out for me. I don't think about that side of it.
I was 3 going on
Oh,
4,
wow.
and
Yes.
I remember seeing her in the little whatever pet store we went to, kind of being really excited, and yeah, I don't remember, like, tons of detail, but that is my first memory.
Oh, she was a great
She
dog.
was a really sweet dog. Yeah, I'm a dog person because we grew up with Christina, and I've always enjoyed dogs, but I think overall I'm an animal person because I've had a
Right.
cat as well. Luna,
Mhm.
may she rest in peace. I've had her for I feel like it was 7 years, but I'm not sure. That might be over. I think that was too long. I had her for a chunk of my life, a season.
Yeah, and she traveled with you to different apartments, right?
Different apartments, like truly living on my own for the first time. She was a cat that I had in my own apartment, and then when I had to move home because I was having a hard time financially, she came there, and then she came out when I got my own apartment again. I feel like I learned so many life lessons from Luna about, like, taking up space and, I don't know, self-care, ineffable lessons that a cat can teach somebody. I just felt like she had a very powerful presence in my life. As it is, it was really hard when she passed away. But what's funny is that Kermit and Luna have a lot of similarities.
You attract a certain animal energy to your life.
I do.
Mm,
And like they were both kind of adopted and not situations where I was like looking at tons of other cats or dogs. It was like circumstantial. And they're both white with like pink ears.
mm.
and very similar affects. Kermit's a dog, but he's got a lot of cat ways,
I would say that's true.
which is just so funny. It's very interesting. But I wouldn't say I'm exclusively a dog person. I would love to have another cat again at some point.
I love all animals also, so I wouldn't mind another animal if the time was right. On More Happier, Liz and Gretchen shared voice recordings of their time walking throughout England on this special sister adventure that they were going on. And they shared a little clip from each day talking about where they were and what they experienced, what stood out to them. Some of the recordings were while they were actually hiking. And Liz shared, and I feel like she has shared this before, that whatever athletic feat she's engaging in, she's always the slowest. She's always the worst, the least coordinated, in any class or athletic situation. And that is something that I 100% can relate to. I have always been the slowest throughout my entire life. I have always been the slowest in whatever athletic endeavor I pursued. And it doesn't bother me so much, but it does bother other people, particularly if it's a competitive situation. I remember being on, it was the summer, and our parents said, you need to get out there, you need to exercise. And so we're signing you up for the swim team. And I was like, okay. It wasn't my choice, but that was something that they felt was important that I get some exercise. And I'm sure they were right. At some point, maybe it was middle school, and every single relay, I was the last one to come in. And if I got picked to be on someone's team for the relay, there was some groaning that happened. And it was just
Oh,
like, but they were right. And I knew it. It's like, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I got disqualified because, my foot would come out of the water for a stroke where that's not supposed to happen. It was a very slow slog through summer that year that I was on the swim team. So I can relate 100%. Which is another reason why, I've shared that I'm reading this book, Slow AF, because those are my
yes.
people. And he talks about what it feels like and how to get used to coming in dead last and why it's still important
Yeah.
to try and to participate and to give it your all.
I relate completely as well. And I was always the last one on the swim team. I think we were in it that same summer. I was in the small
Oh, were
children's
you there?
league. I was there. But I remember what stands out to me is that I would be last in the races, but nobody could get out of the pool until everyone had
Oh,
finished.
no.
And so everybody was waiting at the edge for me to finish the lap so we could all get out together.
So we were having parallel experiences, but because we're 6 years apart, it was on opposite ends of the pool. Different time.
Maybe I'm just not a competitive person in general, or maybe that's one of the reasons I'm not competitive because of that. I didn't like that feeling.
But what's interesting is I am competitive, but not at sports. So I will be competitive in other spaces, but because I'm not fast and I just can't be, it means a lot of the team sports anyway. I guess maybe individual sports, there could have been more there.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I did play sports in middle school. I tried everything.
Right.
And I remember, like in basketball, somehow I made a basket for the other team. That was the only basket I made all year. And like
Oh, no.
everybody was so ashamed, and I was confused.
Oh, that's why, when when my oldest daughter ended up being very athletic and loving sports, oh my goodness, my dad was so excited. He got to live out all of his, team sports dreams for my daughter. So thank God for that.
Very funny. All right. Well, let's take a break. And when we get back, we will discuss Happier in Hollywood. Azizi, how's your dinner game these days?
Well, Malika, I used to struggle with what to cook for dinner.
You're cooking now?
Okay. Actually, my husband used to struggle with what to make for dinner. I mean, meal planning, grocery lists, yuck. But then we found Prep Dish. It's a weekly meal planning service that tells you exactly what to cook. And now they've partnered with Instacart, so your grocery list becomes a ready-to-go online cart.
Ooh, what's in your cart, Azizi?
All of the prep dish ingredients, plus I can add energy drinks, chili crisp, lipstick, whatever, and check out in just a few clicks. Shopping online is so fun. The meals are family friendly, healthy, and super easy to prep. Dinner is easy to make, and now we look forward to new tasty meals.
Prep Dish is offering our listeners 2 weeks free. Just head to prepdish.com/happierladies to sign up. Again, that's prepdish.com/happierladies.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Okay, we're back. So now we're going to talk about our thoughts from Happier in Hollywood, episodes 375 and 376. Malika, what stood out to you?
So Liz and Sarah got a question from a listener about that listener's son, whether or not he should go to USC, I think, film school to be a writer or something like that. Basically, is it worth it? And this brought up this whole idea for them of like, do you crush somebody's dream by being super practical, or do you not do that and maybe kind of withhold information? Or how do you navigate the dynamic of that conversation when somebody's asking you about something that's very hard? Do you just tell them, go for it, do the thing? Or do you give them real advice?
Yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, this brought up so much for me because I went to USC. I got my master's in fine arts there.
You did it.
So I was really like, oh, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? And my husband also went to USC for film school. So it was just funny that I was really like listening in on this. And ultimately, they decided that it was worth it for the networks that you get, which I would agree. But I think I've gotten this question from people too, pursuing acting. Not so much now, but when I was really doing it, people who were graduating after me would ask questions, or undergrads. And I think it is a hard line to toe because there is no rhyme or reason so much of the time in the entertainment industry. And you can be so incredibly talented, and that just doesn't mean you're going to be successful.
Right.
There's so much luck involved, and that can be disheartening, But I remember when I was in the position before graduating, some of our faculty would give us advice, like kind of this advice, like, if there's anything else that you want to do, you should do that instead. I think trying to be realistic, but it was kind of like, we're already here, like
It's a little late for that.
Now. Like, I'm
A
not
little late.
gonna leave. But I think there were certain things they would tell us and we just didn't believe them. We just all felt like we would be the exception, like, okay, maybe it was hard for you, but I'm gonna be a wildly successful star, which you kind of have to have a little bit of that delusions of grandeur, especially as an actor, to just show up in the room every time.
Right.
So it's kind of baked in even. But I think the thing that I landed on for myself and that I think I find most helpful is just when people can relate their own experiences. So not talking in generalities, but saying, this is what I did, or this helped for me, or I found this hard. So it's not necessarily what's going to happen to you, but maybe there's something you want to learn from this. So I started framing advice in that way. There is a certain zeal and naivete that you kind of need to enter the field as an actor anyway. If you were so pragmatic, you just wouldn't do it.
And that would be sad. What a terrible world if we didn't have artists, and storytellers, and people who are passionate about creating art. So I would just encourage it. If someone has a passion, I think they should pursue it, and then they will work out what they need to do to make it work, or find different avenues or lanes or ways to pursue that passion. I think I lean on that side. And I told you that Sinai went to a journalism program for the summer, and one of her professors, who's also a journalist, told these high school students, well, you better marry a doctor or lawyer if you want to pursue journalism. And I was like, wow.
It's too bitter.
That's really dark to tell high school students who are there because they're excited about writing and journalism, but at the same time, like, all right, well, take with that what you will. I didn't hate it. As a parent, I feel like, okay, she's getting a balanced perspective, but as a parent, I would encourage her to pursue whatever makes her happy. And
Yes.
I think even though it may not be a whole career, you never know. You could go in to be a lawyer or doctor and it may not be a whole career. You may find that you need to take
Absolutely.
twists and turns. It's always, I think, good to start with what you're passionate about.
Absolutely. I do want to give a quick plug for the Entertainment Community Fund because
Mm.
they helped me a ton. I got so much from them when I was pursuing acting full time. They're basically a nonprofit organization that has a ton of different resources to support artists in the entertainment industry. So I got a lot of really practical resources around money, and I
Hmm.
even got some grants when I was having a really hard time financially. Like, they're just a really empowering organization that will kind of round out some of those harder things to learn, like taxes and
Hmm.
just the realities of being a working artist. So I recommend people look into that if you're working in the entertainment industry.
It's good to know.
Sarah talked about having these different playlists for her daughter Violet, like Violet at age 2, Violet at age 5, and how fun it is for her daughter to listen back to those playlists to
Hmm.
hear the songs that she liked at those ages. And I thought that was just such a great idea. I mean, I think about playlists, but I like that kind of annual demarcation, especially for kids. Right now, Indigo is very into Enya. So his playlist would have a lot of Enya, but like, will he like that when he's 5? I don't know. But he's like really into it now, which is very cute and fun. And it would be fun to capture that in a playlist.
And the banana phone song, but not the Down by the Bay song. Does not like that one.
Some Rafi selections, not others.
I think this is a great idea also, and something that wasn't available to me when my kids were young. We didn't have playlists, so that wasn't something we could do, but absolutely, why not document what the sounds were of their childhood? Sarah talked about, I think she gave a hit to Valvoline. And I think it was a bomb that she said she turned into a hit, which her bomb was not maintaining her car. And the hit was then taking it to Valvoline and having a positive experience. And I have to say, I've been a fan of Valvoline for, I don't know, 6 years or so, maybe even longer. They're so friendly, and I've always had positive experiences there. You don't have to get out of your car, so you can bring your kids with you if you need to, just do it on the way to somewhere. And they provide a range of services. And I have to say, at this point, if Valvoline doesn't do it, it's probably not getting done to my car, which that's not good either. Like, I should take it to the dealership for some kind of maintenance, but Valvoline is just so convenient. And there's always coupons out there also. Side note, if you just like Google it or go to their
Oh.
website, there's always $10 off coupons available. So I'm also a fan of Valvoline.
All right. So the last thing that stood out to me was Sarah and Liz talking about that hiatus feeling when you get a break from work that's like a real break, but you know that you're coming back to something else.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little bit longer than just like a week of vacation or 2 weeks, but you have time and space. I mean, it's like summer break, basically. The next thing is lined up. So you're not having to spend the break figuring out what's going to happen next. And that is such unique feeling that I really miss. Like, I liked that aspect of being a student,
Mm.
because summer break was really summer break, and
Yeah.
you knew it was going to come up. So I was trying to think of times in my life outside of school when I had kind of that hiatus feeling. And I think the most recent one was last summer. We went to Italy, and like right before we left, I got a job offer.
Oh, that's right.
I hadn't been working for a year, and our trip was only a few weeks, but it was this sense of like, now I can really enjoy this thing, knowing that I've got this other thing lined up,
Mm.
which is a nice sensation. And the other time that stands out was before I started grad school. One of our cousins invited me on this backpacking trip around Eastern Europe, totally out of the blue. It wasn't even a cousin that we connect with that often. So it was like a distant relative. Like, are you free for a month to do this trip that's already been paid for? And I hadn't been planning on it, but I knew that I was going to be going to grad school in the fall. So I just left my job a month earlier and went on this trip. And that was like, again, this free feeling of like, oh my gosh, I can do this really fun thing, experience and travel. And I know that when I get back, I have something lined up for me.
I remember you talking about that in our last episode because you were talking about the most beautiful place you'd ever visited.
That's right. Yeah, just thinking about it, that hiatus feeling.
I don't know what this feels like. I've never had a hiatus, so this sounds like sounds great, but I have been working since I was 18 and worked through college. There's never been a time where I just had a hiatus. I guess you could say when my children were born. So
Yeah, that's
particularly
not the same.
no, that's not a hiatus.
That's a lot of work.
When I had my first daughter, I had to move just after she was born, just when she was weeks old from the Bay Area to Southern California. And then I think I had maybe 7 or 8 months of not working that were lovely. And then I had to get a job again. So I don't know if that counts, but that really is the only time that I can think of where I had some months not working. Otherwise, I take the standard vacation. I'll have 2 weeks here, I'll have 2 weeks there. And as we discussed, I think last week, I'm not usually off completely, especially
Right.
lately, even during those breaks. So this is something I'm looking forward to in retirement is a hiatus feeling.
What about when you were teaching, when you were a kindergarten teacher?
I worked over the summer.
You worked over the summer?
I did because I needed extra income. So I worked summer camps over the summer.
Mm.
I've never not worked. That is just who I am.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Sounds good though. Although I have to say, if I have longer than 2 weeks, I don't know how I would handle it. The schedule, the rhythm of the school year is so much a part of me. It would take a lot of adjusting to have more than 2 weeks off, I think, at a time.
yeah,
But it sounds great.
interesting.
Let's take a break. When we get back, we will talk about peaks and valleys.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
And we are back with peaks and valleys because in life, there are always peaks and valleys. Azizi, you are up first with a peak.
Yes. Just before we came east for our vacation and conference and all of that, days before Sinai, my youngest daughter, got her driver's license. Yay! It was a whole journey, and I am so proud of her because as a parent, my rule is when you want to drive, you have to navigate that process. And that demonstrates to me and the state of California that you are responsible enough to drive a car. And it is not an easy process, like dealing with the DMV and trying to interpret what they need and what to bring and the different kinds of appointments. And then just the driving practice in and of itself was not easy. And she did it. She decided this was something she wanted. She persisted. There were some pitfalls. She had to talk with people at the DMV a few times, and that's always a challenge. But she navigated the system. She took the test, got her license, and now I have 2 daughters who have their licenses. So I feel
Wow.
like as a parent, I've gotten them through this milestone so they don't ever have to be challenged by that as adults. So that's good.
That's a peak for you and for Sinai, but that is a big step.
Thank you. It's also a sign of getting closer to that open door,
Yeah.
time where I don't have young kids anymore. They're young women and they're both amazing. So that's my peak for sure. What's your valley, Malika?
My valley is around a certain pair of shoes that I got.
Right.
I was looking for comfortable, stylish shoes that could be worn for like a work conference. So like business casual shoes. And I found a pair on the Amazon. I won't say what the shoes were, but I was really excited because they were affordable, but they were comfortable and they look really good. And so I've been wearing them pretty hard, but not for long, maybe for a month. I've been wearing them. And last week they just kind of fell apart. It
Hmm.
was like,
So sad.
I can still wear it, but like the siding is falling off. I would need to bring in some super glue, which might be worth it. But it was
Mm,
just sad feeling of like, wow, sometimes cheap shoes are actually cheap for a reason, you know? Like I
yeah.
was so excited about the deal and now I see the quality is what I paid for basically. So ironically, these are the pair that were missing with my luggage for a little bit. So I actually got another
Oh.
pair because I needed
Mm.
all my luggage. Anyway, the airline paid for one pair, but now I have another pair that I just was like, well, I guess I'll wear these out for a month.
Well, you know what? Maybe you just got a hold of a bad pair. So maybe this next pair
That's
will be
true.
better than the other pair. This will be a good test to see. Is it
Yeah,
actually the construction of the shoe, or maybe it was,
a lemon.
lemon? Yeah. This makes me miss Payless so much. Do you remember
Oh,
Payless?
Payless. What a great shoe store. That's
I
where
feel
like
like
all of our shoes came from for many
I
years.
grew up at Payless, I feel
Yep.
like. I love that store. You just walked in, found your size. There were a couple of options, chose one. I feel like they lasted. They made good shoes.
You know what stands out to me? Because there are stores like Payless where they just have all the inventory out and you try them
Right.
on. But
Yes.
the aisles are only like half height. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Like they don't go up all the way to the ceiling.
yes, what I remember from Payless is that the shoes went all the way up to the ceiling. I felt like you could really take your time in an aisle trying things on.
Yeah. There was a certain like comfort. It was very relaxing in there, right? Oh, it was so relaxing, and also they were very size inclusive. They had wide sizes, they went up, to 12 or something, I don't know. I loved Payless, so I was very disappointed when they went out of business. Were they national? I don't even know. Like, it could
It
have just been in
was.
California. It was, okay. Yeah, I missed that. Rest in peace, Payless.
All right, well, that brings us to the end. Azizi, let's leave on a happier thought. Is there anything you're going to try this week?
I wanna check out that retrospective.
Yeah, Andrea Zittel.
I'm intrigued. I wanna see what the uniform looked like.
Let me know what you think.
What are you gonna try, Malika?
I'm going to revisit Parenthood because
Yeah.
it's the kind of show that just makes you cry, but in a cathartic way. If you like feeling emotions.
Nope. I'm
It's a
glad you do.
it's a good show. The acting is wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. You can find our show notes in the episode description. If you like us, please rate us, review, and tell a friend. And don't forget to follow us.
Send us a message at happierladies@gmail.com and tell us something you liked about Happier and Happier in Hollywood this week.
Our show was edited by Magnus Bjorgum, and our theme music was created by Wyatt Muncie.
And we also want to give a special shout out to Gretchen Rubin, Liz Kraft, and Sarah Fain for inspiring our conversation each week.
You can find us on Instagram at Happier Ladies and on the web at happierladies.com. All right, Azizi, have a happier week.
Have a happier week, Malika.
Bye.
Bye. Take a deep breath. And now take in even more air. The deepest breath you've ever taken. And then
Oh,
smile.
it's too
Did I miss a step?
much air.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a second breath in there.
there was. It was like
Are
take
you
a breath and then take an even deeper breath. Like you've taken so much air. Like it's the deepest breath you've ever taken.
'Cause it starts to feel painful.
Okay, let's try again. All right.
All right. Now that I know what's coming, I can pace myself.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.